Alright lads and lasses, welcome along, another one of them. Something's for the weekend, Week 3 now with dataset 4. Now this New York dataset, honestly, the more I spend time with it, the more I like it. It's a cracking little dataset, there's a lot of stuff in it, and we've had to do some interesting things to get it in and working. Let's have a look through. If you remember where we got to, so we've done the extract, transform and load, we've pulled it all in. Alright, that looks good now. This is the way the data model sits right now. Now, first pass data models, honestly, the more I do this, the more I know this is true. What you do for your first pass, it'll be good enough for your first data sets, for your first set of reports. But once you get a bit further into it, no doubt you're going to reshape your models, you're going to do a lot more to it. That's something I really want you to think about and understand. I didn't ever think there'd be a point where you can go, do you know what, my data model's perfect. I didn't have to do out with it. Because I think if that's the case, then something's gone wrong with your analysis. Because every time you do a presentation or you get to the point you say, right, here we're going, you should always be saying, how can we make this better? What can we add to it? And a lot of that comes down to the data shape of it, a lot of it comes down to the DAX of it, and a lot of it just comes down to new requirements coming in from the business. So between them three, you're always going to have to be modifying this. So don't be afraid to say, I've done this to start with, it's not perfect. It doesn't work that way. You've got to start, you've got to have a continual improvement model in your mind for Power BI to really work for you. Alright, so we'll take you through that. We're on to DAX measures today, aren't we? Little bit of DAX, how does that work? Yeah. So DAX measures, you've got some really two key areas with it. Technically there's three, but we'll call quick measures the same as the drag and drop aggregations. Quick measures, they are your friends, right? They're there to help you learn a bit about DAX. You'll see, I'm going to post another article on the old website referencing something from another of the sites that we'll do. In fact, I'm going to put a link onto their site as well. Really important, people. SQL BI, they are, I'm sorry to say it, I wish I was getting money for it, but I'm not. They are the de facto source of information as far as DAX is concerned. Them two gadgets, absolute top lads. I was trained by Alberto Ferrari, went and did my mastering DAX course. The guy knows his stuff, so you know, if he's writing this, I'd listen to it. He'll put it much better than I ever could, but writing DAX, it's a tough thing to get your head around. Have a read of the article, have a check of their website. Big piece of this is about just getting used to doing it. The points of focus for a report, that's always going to be the same, isn't it? So it's kind of like, what are we looking at? So the results, inspections, hour time, that kind of thing. And then lastly, what we're going to do today. I think today, for this is still our first proper deep dive into a data set. We're just going to try and focus on quick stuff for today. If I started writing manual DAX measures, I was trying to look through it, so I could write this, could write that, could write the other. I think it'll just rapidly go off topic. And what I want you to understand is that within Power BI, there's a lot that you can just do. You didn't need to write the DAX for. And that's not a problem. Again, remember, we're talking about our first pass at this data set. So this will be the first time I'm going to put something together and show me management. And they'd say, oh, that's brilliant, that is. How about you now do this? And when you get that, how about you now do this? That's invariably where you might have to start stepping up the DAX a bit. Well, let's have a crack on. Let's have a look and let's see what we've got to with our data set, So what I've done, I've built a couple of pages already, but I thought I'll take you through the steps I've gone to build it, yeah? So here's the pages that I've thrown together, and I've just whacked a couple of things in, put a few things together so I can have a look, we can see over any particular stretch of time, in a particular borough, actually what's going on, And it all works. We can see the top 10 inspections, so who's inspecting stuff, who's testing stuff. And then lastly, if we're really looking, going, oh, hang on, what's happened over here? Because we can see there's lots of tests here. We could right click on it and we could drill through and we can get a location summary. And it gives us the information about all the tests that place has had. Who's done them, who's done the tests, who's carried out the inspections, all that stuff there. It's good and nice, isn't it? We've just got Brooklyn, we've got a little bit of information there. There was some fuller address information in the location stuff. Obviously we scrubbed that all out, but we could have put that back in, we could have kept that and could have had like proper information about, you know, who it was, what it was about, all that stuff. But I thought, you know, this gives a good feel for that kind of data, doesn't it? The results table, that's the sort of thing that you'd probably want to be looking into if you're going to start writing your DAX and coming up with a good template for how to write those. And basically would be doing it where it's A, B, but it would be best if we understood what they meant, and then we could replace those with little coloured dots or something like that, couldn't we? We could say, well, this is green, this was red, just to make it much easier, more visually appealing. As there's 20 odd of these for each of them, and I didn't know what half of them mean. You know, I'm guessing like E. coli A is absent, maybe P for present, I don't know, can't remember. But you get the point, didn't you? You know, we need to figure out them. Some of these is about actual specifics of it, so is it roof access, is it something else? So we'd probably want to be able to categorize those, so we'd probably need to break out and add a dimension in there for like inspection category. So we'd have something linking them back to it, what the good was, what the bad was, and then you'd be able to actually have a measure set that would work with it. So at some point when we do iterative improvements on this, and in fact I might do it next week, because I said next week we'd talk about publishing it all up and all that stuff. I'll write a couple of these. In fact, I'll sling a measure in, or a new dimension in for that, and we'll start going through a few of those, and we'll hopefully be able to turn that table into like a little set of what am I trying to say, man? Into like a proper little like rag status table thing, so we can really see and go, oh, something's happened there, oh, something's happened there, that's good, that's bad. But we'll figure something out and we'll see. Bearing in mind, I'll have to pick some of these tests out, and it'll just be pretty arbitrary. I'm not going to pretend even now what I'm talking about with it. So yeah, it's one of them. If we're doing it right, we'd figure it all out. For the sake of this and for the sake of a demo, I might just do it and we'll split that out so we can see any issues, any problems, and we'll scan that way. But I thought this gives a nice table so you can see kind of what's actually happening at that location. But it's just that, how can we make that pop? Get that, like, you know, bird's eye view of it. The nice thing, this kind of structure, it's dead easy, isn't it? Because it's like, it's a drill down. So I'm taking that spreadsheet of data that we started with, remember? And we've kind of made it so you can actually, it's interactive now. So I can go and say, oh, I'm interested in what happened. Why would we have more tests towards December in there? I don't know. So we can hover there, we can see where those are, and we can then say, all right, let's see. If I look in Manhattan, is that there? If I look in Brooklyn, is that, how's that? If we look in the Bronx, how's that? See some of the bigger ones there. So, you know, it's kind of interesting to know. One of the other things you can do while you're here, as you can see, we could change our count of inspections, couldn't we? So if we went here, say we count of inspections, I want it to be greater than 1. So I'm only interested in places that have more than 1 inspection, for example, in that time frame. So straight away we're starting to see much more. It's much easier to find out what's going on. We might be, you know, we could say where this, you know, we could change that to a 5, yeah, and then we can see these are the places that have had more than 5 inspections in that little period. So clearly something's going on there. You know, 8 inspections in a fairly short period. I should probably make that clear, shouldn't I? We could put a min date and a max date in there as well, just to make it even easier for you to figure out actually what's the date frame that I've put there. I could do that. Let's not do it now. But the point is, you know, these are the interactive points where you start to get to, oh, I need to do something. That's where a big chunk of the manual DAX that you do comes in, you know. It's actually in putting in little things like that. So we could change the title. So it would say, select a date range with a minimum date and a maximum date. And it would then be really interactive. And, oh, it doesn't take up all this extra space. Oh, it makes a difference, man. It all makes a difference. Let's go through, zoom into that. So this place had 16 inspections. So it's not right here, is it? 16 inspections, and they all seem to have been on one day. That's an interesting one, isn't it? So it's got odds going on there. We'll have to have a proper crack into that at some point, eh? Let's put columns inspection. Let's see if we zoom down there. Ah, it is, aye. Multiple instances of inspections on one day. I think that's, someone's got something wrong in there, if you ask me, like. Something dodgy's happening. So you see, you know, a little bit of analysis, a little bit of a view, you find all sorts of stuff going on with this. What it is it's likely that there's multiple tanks there. That's probably what it is, isn't it? You know, if they've got 4 tanks, that might be the issue, isn't it? So if we put it on, like, say, let's put the tank number in the attributes, let's so we can spot that down there. Ah, look, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 tanks. So that's the issue there, isn't it? So there are 2 inspections really for the tanks. It's good to know that, you know, all these things you can deal with these data sets, and you see, look, I'm able to explore it. It's pretty easy. It's not too bad. This is one of the advantages of Power BI Desktop, is you'll be able to explore your data, and then you can, when you come to present it, you know what's going on, you know what you need to be saying to them. So we've had 8 inspections there in that period because they've probably inspected all 8 of the tanks. That makes sense there. So we've kind of had 2 inspections of all the tanks across a 3-year period. That's probably good to know, isn't it? That's probably a good thing. Brilliant this, isn't it? So how do we build it? What have we done? How has he managed to do all this? We are having to write a line of DAX. Right, that was going to a new window. First thing I've done, I've pulled in 2 new visuals, and the reason I pulled 2 is I had a quick experiment with the first one to see, is this going to work for us? And I love the play axis, but at the same time, I'm not in love with it. It's great for doing some things. It kind of worked with this, but it kind of didn't either. So I bought in the time brush. The time brush, it allows you to put a time series on with a value, and you can kind of pick and drag and drop how much you want of it. Not drag and drop, you know, like scrub a big chunk of it in. So just click on that, bring it in, that will shape it up a bit, and we can pick it through what we need. So it's going to be the date. I want the date, and as you can see, we've got the date table with dates. So dates, I think for this we end up segmenting it by year, and that's just so that you have like colours by year. And then all I've done for me main values is I've just dragged from the inspections ID, and it automatically says, oh well, this is going to be a count, isn't it? So we've got a count then. So straight away I can see what's happening there, which is brilliant, isn't it? I've got me great little results. The next thing I did was I wanted to build a little map to show what was going on. So I put my latitude and my longitude on, and I have to deal with the issues with Power BI with this, that you've got to always come in, tell it you didn't want to summarize these. I wish they'd fix this bug. It's one of the biggest bugs I've got in the system, and it annoys us every time, but it is what it is. Got that far, I've now got my data. Here we go, and here's my data points showing us what's happening. We need a size for it, didn't we? So our size is going to be our inspection ID again, and just dragging that in, and straight away it says it's going to be a count. So you've got numbers you can go away with this, but count, it's intelligent enough to know how this is IDs, these are going to be counts, man. So that helps you get going, doesn't it? And then from there, it was just a case of kind of figuring out, well, what else could we put in here? Fill the space. In the case of what I did before, I went through and I pulled in with boroughs, pulled in the inspected by, and I'll show you what I've done there. It's just exactly the same, inspected by, and the count of inspections. And then all I've done is I've done a filter inspection ID to get a top 10, because if you didn't have a top 10, it just looks, you know, you've got lots of people out there, lots of places. What you could have done, or what I could do, is we could change that to be like a donut chart or a pie chart or something like that, but I felt it doesn't work very well like that. So I'll leave it, put it back as there. But it's a top 10. What it was interesting to find was there's kind of like a few companies that are doing the vast majority of the stuff, and I kind of thought that when I was going through and doing the filtering and setting up the lookup table, you know, so it was all working right. In fact, let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at me. So here's the support data spreadsheet that I had, and I went through and I've just added all these values in, so it all works, Some interesting ones in there, I have to say, when I was looking through it, it's definitely an interesting set of data. Lots of typos, lots of weird things, and you say, wow man, how you guys have really messed that one up. Didn't really know what to do with some of them, but you know, it's not going to be a big deal with them outliers, is it? The main thing was to find out, get these all standardized so that you'd really be able to find them quicker and easier. Alright, so it's just grouping them together by a set name and then trying to pull those names back down together and get it all sorted. It all works well, it's easy enough to do. As I say, there's no shortcuts with some things in Power BI. This was one of them, but you know, it is what it is. So back with data, we've now, you know, you can see how that was kind of derived. Hover over it, give it some stuff. It's probably one of the things I'd like to do is actually start doing something else with these. So I'll tell you what we'll do. Yeah, now you know how this main page was built. Let's look at how a drill through would be built, yeah? So you see I've got my location summary here where you can go and right click on any particular location and it'll take you through and show you through location summary information. Here you go, bosh, yeah, actually see what's going on. Found a really interesting one here, haven't we? Lots of different people involved in this one. Might be worth having a deeper dive into this as well. But what happens if we're wanting to say, right, what are these inspectors doing for? Yeah, so we could say, right, inspection details, eh? That should probably be location details, shouldn't it, rather than location summary. Right, inspection details. So for here, let's say we want to start. That was gone in, inspected by. So we've got inspected by now as a table. So we could say, right, what about borough? Because that's going to be key, isn't it? What boroughs are they actually dealing with? So we can bring the borough in. Let's make that a donut, because there's not really enough of them to make it a problem. And then let's bring inspection ID in to that as well. Did I bring inspection? There, we good. Aye, brilliant. Right, so we've kind of got them two. Alright, let's have a look at that. Where's it put inspection ID on that? Values. There we go. Right. So we've got our inspection ID, we've got that. Let's make this back arrow a bit of a better shape, yeah? Just a bit of size. That's one of them things would be. Just resize it a little bit. See, that's automatically added when you set you're going to make a drill through page. So that's all I need to do. I've put a filter on there to say it's a drill through page. What is it going to use? And we're going to use all the filters. We can choose to untick this if you want. It's up to you. For the location summary, I've turned it off because then what I really want to do is be able to say, right, this is the location. Tell us everything about the location across all the time frame, across everything that's going on. Yeah. For the inspector details, we might say, well, I'm interested in just in this particular area that we're looking at, but it's going to depend on where you're coming at it from. So I'll leave it ticked for now so you can see what happens. But all I need to do is come through here. We can now right click on an inspector over here and we'll get inspection details pages available to us. But what you see is all these come out. So we've got a category here that we've picked, but then further down we've got where it's on or after the 24th of November 2015 and is on or before the 29th of December 2015. So we've got that time range in there. We can see where they're doing it. What we can do next, I'll tell you what we want in here, isn't it? It's a map. That's what we need. Now, everyone loves a good map in Power BI reporting. Honestly, it's one of the things we get the most requests about. How many maps can we do quickly? Show you how quickly easily these are to put in. Yeah, so we've got their inspections that these people have carried out in that period of time. Sorry, inspection ID, yeah? So that's what we want to be able to show. It shows how many they've done. Hi. Tell you what, let's leave. I'll reshape this a little bit. We're gonna have to figure this out, because what I was thinking of doing was bringing this in, or something similar to it. We can just bring this through. Another nice feature with Power BI and the whole point of DAX is making everything portable, so I can quickly and easily bring that through. It still works. The context of it isn't lost. Right? Let's resize a few things to try and make that easier to figure through. Yeah. So what we can do is we can pick and we can choose a date and we can see what's going on with it. And this is where we'd need to really work through the right way to get the number of inspections in or something like that. You might not want inspection ID. Let's put inspection. Let's put inspection ID on there. Tell you what I'm going to do as well with this. I'm going to tell this 0. Need decimal points for inspection IDs, did we? I did say 0, didn't I? 0. There we go. So now we can see what's happening with them. You could get like a little summary of they're finding stuff that's out happening with it. I suppose the other thing we'd probably want to have in here would be, so it's similar, it's tested by, you know, are they using the same lab for everything? It's worth knowing, isn't it? Now, if you're doing like a corruption test or something like that, you might find, oh, how, you know, they're constantly using these labs. Now let's put one of them in, inspection ID, in the values again. So we can see most of the time they're using this EMSL Analytics Inc. for their stuff. So what you've seen there, I mean, come on, I've thrown that page together. I haven't written a line of DAX. Most I've done with these is add a title to some of these just to make it appear better. See, I've put the dates on there. I've actually put them as proper date values just so you can see when they were happening for iterative cycles, that kind of thing. Yeah. But what we've got now, we've got a lovely home page that we can start with. Oh, got page 1. Got my main home page. It should start on our analysis, right? What's going on with this? What's happening? And I could say, oh, I'm looking in this particular area, looking in this particular area. Need dots. Oh, there's one dot there. Oh, there's one dot there, wasn't there? But you get the picture. We can scan through. We can really start to understand what's happening there. We can take a drill through to go into the location summary, see what's happening, see what's going on with it, see what's going on. Wow, man. Actually start to look into what's happening, get our heads around where we need to go with our analysis. The next step would be to start to say, right, what more do we need to do? Where's the next step? Where's the deeper dive? What's my manager going to want to know more about? So as I say, I'll do this bit where we'll have a crack at this and building a more interactive table, well, a more visually appealing table, I think is probably the right word. We'll get that built and we'll have a look at that next week. And then also actually how this all looks in the Power BI service. And then we'll talk about how you'd share it out and all that stuff, But for now, I hope you've had a really good experience of actually how easy it is to build Power BI report content without having to write any DAX. So I haven't even gone in and written a quick measurement. We've just gone in and just done the drag and drop, because honestly, most of the work that you'll do when you first start and for your first iteration, it should be sums, or it should be counts, or it should be averages, all of which are available. If we're going back to page 1 and have a look back at our main table here, any one of these are these aggregations that are available. You know, that should cover the vast majority of what you're going to be doing when you first start out with something. If you've got someone saying, oh, we need to do that, with lots of complexity to it, you need to stop and think, what are we doing all this for? What's the business outcome that we're driving with it? It's better to have a simple measure than a ton of business rules to exclude this, exclude that, you know, make sure that's not in place. There's obviously going to be the core ones that you're always going to have, like, you know, internal sales. We don't want to include them in work counts, you know, internal transfers or something like that. That's normal. But when you're doing your main crux of it, it should be a case of saying sum. And if you're going to exclude internal, still use a sum and use the filter, exclude internal. You know, it's not difficult, but drag and drop will get you start with Power BI, and it should get you, certainly for your first couple of reports, at least 50% of the way. So have a think on that. Stay safe. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll catch us all again on Tuesday.